Okay, this is still section R.5, factoring. Video 4, and we are going to focus on trinomials. Okay, now really what we're going to do when we factor a trinomial is we're reversing FOIL. We talked about this a little bit in the first video. So think about it. If I have something like 2x plus 5 times x plus 1, okay, we've talked about FOIL. We would do firsts, which is 2x times x, or 2x squared. Outer, so 2x times 1, which is plus 2x. Inside, which is plus 5x. And then last, which is 5 times 1, or plus 5. Then we combine like terms in the middle. So finally I have 2x squared plus 2 plus 5 is 7x plus 5. Okay, so when we factor, what we're going to do is you'll be given the trinomial, and you'll be asked to go back through these steps to end up with the two separate factors. So let's use the same trinomial and talk about how to go backwards. Okay, so let's start with, again, the directions would say factor completely, and we'll look at 2x squared plus 7x plus 5. Okay, I refer to this method as key number, because the first thing I'm going to do is identify this number that will be key to the whole process. And the key number is the leading coefficient times the constant. Okay, so in this case, my key number is 2 times 5, or 10. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to find two numbers that multiply to my key number, which is 10, but add to the middle term, which is right here, which is 7. Okay? So what two numbers multiply to 10 but add to 7? Alright, the easiest thing to do is to consider the factors of 10. Alright, we would have 1 and 10, but 1 plus 10 equals 11. That's not what I want. And we would also have 2 and 5. 2 times 5 equals 10, and 2 plus 5 equals 7. Bingo, that's what we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite that middle term. And we're going to rewrite that middle term using the 2 and the 5 that we just came up with. So instead of 7x, I'm going to write that as 2x plus 5x. That should be an x right there. Okay. So let's go back over here and see when I did the multiplication above. At one point during FOIL, I had a 4-term polynomial, and in the middle I had 2x plus 5x, and that's exactly what I just realized I could write here. So let's rewrite that. 2x squared, instead of 7x, 2x plus 5x, and then I'm going to continue to write the plus 5. So all I did from this step to this step is rewrote 7x with the 2 and the 5 that I came up with over here. Again, factors that multiply to 10 but add to 7. Okay, now I'm going to factor by grouping, the technique that we did in the last video. So let's group the first two terms together and the second two terms together and take out the common factor. Okay, with the first two terms I can take out a 2x, and I'm left with x plus 1. Second group, bring down that plus, I can take out a 5, and I'm left with x plus 1. So I have a common factor of x plus 1, and what's left is 2x plus 5. Okay, so I did exactly what I said. We were given the trinomial, and we broke it down in a way that it could be factored by grouping to x plus 1 times 2x plus 5. And I can always check myself to make sure I did this correctly by foiling this back out. I should end up with what I started with. These two expressions are equal, they're just written differently. Let's try another example. Let's try 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. And we're going to use the same method. Always look for a greatest common factor before you start. Since I do not have one, I'm going to notice I have 3 terms, so I'm going to use this key number. Remember, I'm looking for 2 factors, polynomial factors that when multiplied together will give me 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. So I'm going to try to reverse FOIL. Alright, my key number is the leading coefficient times the constant, or 9 times 4, which in this case is 36. Okay, so that means I'm going to look for 2 numbers that multiply to the key number 36, but add to the middle number, which is, take the sign with you, negative 12. So let's consider factors of 36. Okay, probably sticking out to you, the 6 and 6. If I multiply 6 by 6, I get 36, and if I add 6 and 6, I get 12. But now be careful, I don't want positive 12, I want negative 12. So you got to mess around with your signs. Let's say if I have negative 6 times negative 6, that's a positive 36. But negative 6 plus negative 6 is negative 12, and that's what I want. So I'm going to rewrite the middle term, which is negative 12x, using these 2 numbers. So instead of negative 12x, I write negative 6x minus 6x. So let's rewrite over here. 9x squared minus 6x minus 6x plus 4. And now I have 4 terms, so I'm going to group. I'm going to group these 2. Be careful of the negative sign. I'm going to make that plus negative, so I remember that's a negative 6x. And now we'll take out common factors. So over here, let's see, I could take out a 3x, and when I do that, I'm left with 3x minus, let's see, 3x out of 6x would leave me with 2. Bring down that plus sign. And now, remember, I'm going to take out a negative number. So here's a negative 6x and a positive 4. And it might help you to look at this really broken down. Let's say that's a negative 2 times 3 times x would give me negative 6x. And over here, if I'm going to be taking out a negative number, let's think of this as negative 2 times negative 2, because negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. So if I take out a negative 2, what am I going to be left with? Let's take out that negative 2, 3x, and I have another negative 2, so minus 2. And really that's exactly what I wanted, because now I have a common factor. So let's take out that common factor of 3x minus 2, and we'll see what we have left. And we're also left with a 3x minus 2. Now when you have exactly the same factor, you can write that as 3x minus 2 squared. And there's actually a pattern that develops here. This is called a perfect square trinomial, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in class. Okay, let's finish with a U-try. Oops. So why don't you try x squared minus 10x plus 16. Oops, let's put a little top on that. And just be careful, your key number in this case will be 1 times 16, or 16. And why don't you try 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. And we'll take a look at those two in class.